Hey guys, Michelle from Michelle's Craft Corner here, and in today's video we're going to be making this lovely fall themed card using the Colorful Seasons stamp set and our new Blends markers. Let's get started. So here's a close-up of that card that we're going to be making today. I really think it turned out great, very good for the fall, and we're using quite a few different things in this with this particular card today, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So first off, we're going to be using the wonderful Colorful Seasons photopolymer stamp set. Looks like that. Really good for all seasons. Got some snowflakes, the fun beach chair. So really awesome set. And coordinating with that are the seasonal layers Thinlit dies. So out of here we're going to be using the big leaf from this one. But you can also do just the solid leaf or even the tiny leaf. And these of course are available together as a bundle. Save some money there. So that's the first thing we're going to be using. The other big thing we're going to be using in this video are the new wonderful Stampin' Blends markers. Now this is the handy little flyer that advertises all the different colors that we have. They're so beautiful. You can get the whole set and it's just a wonderful set. I absolutely love it. So today we're going to be focusing on the reds, oranges, and yellows. So specifically the Pumpkin Pie, Calypso Coral, Daffodil Delight, and Cherry Cobbler. Now these are sets of 2 markers for $9. There's a darker shade and a lighter shade for some good color contrasting. So I'll pull those out. What's also really nice about these markers, which I'll show you, is they have 2 tips. They have a kind of a brush broader tip, and then they also have, pull the other one off, a smaller thin tip. So for like tiny areas or for wider areas, it's really handy. The other cool thing about these, besides the fact that the lids are nice and firm, is you can stack those lids for coloring so it's not rolling off the desk. It's nice. And it's a square marker, so it also doesn't roll as well. But I absolutely love these. I've been having so much fun coloring things with them, so I highly recommend getting those. But to use those, you really also need to get the Memento ink. There's a difference with the different types of ink, and this one, if you're stamping your image and coloring it in, it's not going to bleed. Because this is an alcohol marker, some of the inks will bleed when you color over it, so definitely need to get the Memento ink for stamping. But just love all of the new blends. They are wonderful. And you can also check out on my site, I did do a handy color chart for those that plan to purchase them and you want to fill in and have those colors handy as a reference. You can print that off for your own personal copy. So besides that, we're also using a couple different papers. We're going to be using some of the copper foil today. Now these come in 12 by 12 sheets, but we're just going to need a little piece to do our 2 leaves. We're also going to be using vellum today. Now this is a really awesome material. It's kind of a clear, semi-transparent plastic. It's really cool for a lot of just different techniques. But what's great about the blends is they can color on this without smearing like the regular markers do. So really fun. We're going to be playing with that. Also going to need some Whisper White cardstock, and this is in our standard, yes, 5 by 3 1/4. I just didn't write it on the back. And then we're also going to be using a square of the Early Espresso, and this is at 4 by 5 1/4, and I'll write it down in a minute. And then our card base today is in Crumb Cake. In addition to our papers, we're also going to be using some of the awesome copper trim. Now I absolutely love this, and I know the video will not do it justice, but it's got this wonderful metallic copper sheen, and we're going to be doing a fun technique with it. You didn't know that it's such a flexible ribbon. You can kind of pull and work it and do some cool fun shapes. So we're going to be playing with that as well. For glue today, we're going to be using our Fast Fuse adhesive. And then we're also going to be using a little bit of the fine tip glue pen just to get those leaves down. And whenever you're using the fine tip glue pen, I highly recommend grabbing that silicone craft sheet to keep your area from getting sticky. It really will save you so many headaches. So definitely recommend that as well. So I think we've covered everything, so let's get creating here. So I'm going to start off, move this off to the side. We're going to start off with our piece of vellum. Move this off. And our Whisper White cardstock. Now that vellum, yet again, is cut at 5 by 3 3/4. And same thing with our white. It is at 5 inches by 3 3/4. Okay, so they're both at the same size. And when stamping and coloring with the vellum, it's really good to have something solid underneath so you can see it, so it doesn't kind of disappear into your workspace. I can't tell you how many times I've misplaced my vellum and wondered, where did that little clear piece of paper go? So we're going to start with our Memento ink and our fun leaf from that Colorful Seasons set. And we're just going to stamp a couple leaves just all around, being sure to ink it up really good. And I like to go in different directions with this one, just to kind of make it look like the leaves are falling. There we go. Oh. Okay, so you can kind of get the idea. You can add more, you can add less. You can also kind of stamp the corners to have like just a part of the leaf showing, that kind of thing. All right, so now we've got our leaves, which, you know, that's pretty quick and easy. Move that off to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our blends. Now the blends are awesome. I can't brag about them enough. But what's great is they're made to work with this Memento ink. Now you can go ahead and color it on this one side, just give it a second to dry. But for the sake of time, I'm actually going to flip it over and color on the back. Now because it's clear, you can see straight through it. But then I don't have to wait that extra second for it to dry. Now we're going to go ahead and color our leaves. Now I like to start with some of my lighter shades first. So we're going to start with the yellow. And actually I'm going to do the darker shade of yellow. But what's fun about this technique is you can really do any of them in any order that you want. So we're going to start with yellow, and I'm going to do this leaf right here. And we're just going to kind of brush some yellow on. Now these are kind of molted looking leaves. They're little of multiple colors, which I think is just a fun look. Now I'm going to grab, this is the dark pumpkin pie, and I'm going to kind of just blend the orange into the yellow. Just being careful not to going over the edge of my leaf so it's still on there. Okay, so we've got a little of that yellow, we've got a little of the orange. Actually, I'll leave the orange out. And then let's go ahead and grab our, there we go, this is the light pumpkin pie. And I'm just going to kind of blend those edges together. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add some red on the tips. You can see it's just a really easy to blend. Main thing with the blends is you do want to work kind of fast before it dries, because it does dry pretty quickly. Go back with the orange and just kind of blend that border together. You can just see how it's getting that nice rich orange tone. Okay, we're kind of losing a little yellow, but you get the idea. So I really like how that one turned out. Now we're also going to do one just straight up solid, so a little bit of the dark and light red together. So when doing a tone on tone, so the same color, I like to kind of do an outline in the darker shade. And that just kind of helps define it, I think. Go. Okay. And then we're going to go back with the lighter shade and just going to kind of blend those colors out. Now what's nice is if you don't like it, you can go ahead and add more color to it and kind of fill it in more. It's always good to start off light because you can always add more later. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go add a little bit more of that dark red. Just kind of blend together. All right, till you like how it looks. And so we're just going to continue doing that with all of the rest of the leaves. I'm going to kind of mix up some of the other colors, but I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through the coloring just for time's sake. But you can just see, you can really mix up the colors however you want to get some really fun fall leaves. All right, here we go. All right, and there you can see our leaves are done. Now, if you watched all of my fast coloring, you noticed that I didn't really color super evenly. What's kind of nice is with the blends, you can kind of be a little messy and artistic with it. It doesn't have to be exact. They kind of just blend together really seamlessly. You feel very artistic. But I do really love how those colors really do look together. Now you can add more layers and more ink to kind of give more darker tones, or you can just kind of leave it light. There's also a color lifter as well. If you go too dark, you can lighten it up with our color lifter marker. But we're going to go ahead and say that's good for now and moving on. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue that piece of vellum to our white. Now, the tricky thing with vellum is because it's clear, generally you can see your adhesive. But it's also so thin, you don't really need a lot of adhesive. So we're just going to do a little bit of glue where it's going to be covered up by our sentiment. And I really like the Fast Fuse just because it's just a really nice strong tack. So we're just going to do a line and check it. And then for lining this up, I line up the opposite corner that doesn't have the glue, kind of corner to corner. And then we're just going to lay it down straight across, give it a little press, and now they are together. Okay, so then we're going to also go ahead and take that early espresso cardstock. Now this is at 5 1/4 by 4. I will confirm and write it down real quick so you guys can see that. Actually, it may be hard to see on the brown. don't know if you can read that okay, but anyway, 5 1/4 by 4. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that, give us that little nice background border edge. And I know the fast fuse tends to be intimidating for a lot of people, but you just got to practice with it. Once you practice with it a few times, you'll get the hang of it. And sometimes you have to advance the little track. Go. Okay. Pick it up, flip it around, and we're just going to glue it where we have that little brown edge all the way around. We'll press. All right. The other thing in this on this card is we have these gorgeous copper foil leaves using our copper foil. Now what's nice about these particular dies is you don't need a huge piece of copper foil, so a little can go a long way if you're just doing little accent pieces, which is generally the way I tend to use them more often than not. But for this, I did the Big Shot sandwich with the magnetic platform. So magnetic platform, one of our pads, paper, and then the other pad on top, and slid it through, so really quick and easy. This would also be a really good die to use our new Sizzix double-sided paper, the adhesive sheets, if you wanted to use those for the adhesive instead of the glue pen. We're going to go ahead and have those run through and stick those off to the side. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our copper trim. And I love this, you guys. This is such an absolutely gorgeous piece of ribbon. And as I said earlier, the video just does not do it justice. But we need to get a little bit more than the width of the card. And I'll show you why in a second. So let's go ahead and cut that. And see, this ended up being about 12 inches, so that might be a little too big, but we'll see. So what we're going to do is, after you have it cut, you're going to take the ends and you're just going to give it a gentle pull. And as you pull, it kind of takes on this fun, like, mesh shape. And because of the way that it's made, it's just really easy to kind of pull it apart and play with it and kind of get some fun shapes. Now, the other cool thing about this, which if you didn't know, say you didn't like that look, all you need to do is give it a gentle tug and it'll go back to the strand. So really handy. So you're just going to do some gentle pulling to pull this out. But of course, if you do prefer the solid ribbon look, you can of course keep it that way. But see, it just doesn't take that long. But also, as you're pulling it, you're also kind of shortening the overall length of the ribbon because you're pulling that thread out. So you see we started at 12 inches, and because we're pulling it out, which is shortening it, see, now we're down to almost 5. So that's why I say you really do want to get a piece that's bigger than you think you'll need, just because if you're doing this technique, it will shrink. All right, so you just take that and we're going to stick this across our card and wrap it on the back. So isn't that fun? And I really just like it kind of about in the center, but you can also just kind of tweak any spots that you don't like. And if you think it's too wide, you can give it a gentle pull and kind of thin it out a little bit, just like that. But you got to kind of be gentle with it. All right, so there we go. We're going to take that and we're going to flip it over and adhere it to the back. Now you can of course do that with our fast fuse, but honestly, anytime it comes to ribbon, I just prefer to just take some Scotch tape and tape it down. It's fast, it's quick, and you know it's gonna stick. So that's just my little ribbon secret. Oh, I moved it. Is it still straight? I'll make sure it's still straight. All right. Okay, so now we've got our ribbon down. You like how that is? Now, I don't like that this is coming up a little bit, so I may sneak a little bit, another quick dot of fast fuse under that leaf. There you go. It's not super noticeable because of the color. There we go. Okay, that's sticking down a little better. Okay, so now we've got that step done. We are just cruising right along on this card. Go ahead and have our crumb cake base folded and ready to go. Go, stick that off to the side. All right, and next thing is the little sentiment. Now I have the Thinking of You is also from that Colorful Seasons bundle. And of course, if you're feeling instead, life is beautiful, just breathe, congratulations, you make me smile. A lot of really good sentiments in this one for all occasions. But I just thought the Thinking of You was just a nice, simple way to go. So we're just going to take just a little scrap of white. Now this is about 1 inch, so when you're trimming your white squares, you might tend to have quite a few of these. So this is just about 1 inch, and since I just have the Memento handy, we're just going to use that again. You could also use the archival ink or any other ink color that you think coordinates with this set. Some cherry cobbler red or pumpkin pie would also be really pretty. So we're just going to stamp that in the center of our little white strip straight up and just kind of line it up how far out you want it to go. Oh, close my ink here. Off. Okay. And I think that's probably pretty good. Now you could do it totally over the ribbon, but I really like seeing just that edge of it. I think that's probably pretty good. Let's see. Hold it up and then just give it a quick snip, which I think that's pretty even. Alright, and then I gave it one quick dimensional just to kind of make it pop. If you don't want to do a dimensional under the sentiment, you could just glue it flat as well. Flip that over, stick that on there. Right, and then I like to add lining the edge of the sentiment up with the edge of the white as well, just to kind of make it flow. Press there. Okay, almost done, guys. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and grab our silicone craft sheet out and our handy little silver leaves that we went ahead and pre-cut, and our fine tip glue pen. Now this is just perfect for any really tiny dies, any small things. You don't need to get all the glue everywhere, but you can just get that little touch. So we're going to flip these over, and with this one you don't have to glue the whole thing, but you just want to kind of hit some of the high points and just kind of the thicker parts. So I like to hit the edges, some of the little edges of here, definitely the center, and just a few tiny little dots here and there to make sure that it sits. But keep in mind, you do also want to have a space where you can grab it to pick it up. All right, so now we've got a few drops here and there. We're going to go ahead and take it and carefully flip it over. And this first one, we're going to kind of tuck the stem of the leaf under our Thinking of You. Kind of line it up and then just glue it, press it straight down onto that vellum. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I put enough. Oh, I didn't put enough. Okay, that dried really, really fast. Let me try that again. Okay, so here we go. Too busy talking, not gluing. Okay, take two. Okay, flip and tuck. And press straight down. Now another thing too, if you're worried about glue seeping out from those little corners, you can also take your silicone craft mat and lay it over and use that to press it down. Just give it a couple seconds to make contact and do a little slight tack. And that won't stick to the silicone craft mat, so you can just pick it right up. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do our other one, and our other one is gonna be peeking from the bottom of our sentiment. And just tucked underneath. Flip it and tuck it underneath. So this is another, it's really handy to have that dimensional. It's easier to tuck it under. All right, then we're going to press it down. I'm going to use that silicone craft mat again. That worked really well. Okay. Give it just a couple seconds press. And then to adhere this whole thing to our crumb cake card base, I actually use dimensionals again, one in each corner. I generally like to use dimensionals if it's something that, a little piece of tape showing up, okay. if it's something that has some depth on the back, so we've got our ribbon on the back, but it would also lay flat okay as well. Also, handy reminder, anytime you use the fine tip glue pen, go ahead and seal that up. Thread that needle after use so it doesn't dry. Go ahead and do that. Let's get that off the side. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add our final dimensionals to the back. One in each corner. And then just peel and stick. There you go. So I think this is just an awesome card, just in time for fall. You can also do another piece of 5 by 3 1/4 Whisper White in the center for notes, but the crumb cake is actually a pretty light shade you could still write on. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.